It all started one late night, the kind of night where even your shadow seems exhausted and slightly judgmental. You're in a dimly lit office, or maybe your living room, same difference. And you're staring at your phone, your laptop, a notebook, the floor, anything that can distract you from the truth. You're about to make a choice that feels like standing at the edge of a cliff in socks because someone dared you to. You either keep everyone around you comfortable and liked, smile, nod, yes, you're right, when you want to scream, or you step into a kind of power that terrifies you. Not the loud, dramatic, movie-type power, but the quiet, I'm about to upset a lot of people because it needs to be done, power. Picture yourself there, your friends, colleagues, family, maybe even strangers on social media. They all expect you to prioritize their comfort, and there you are staring back at yourself like, do I want to be liked or do I want to matter? This, my friend, is the exact moment Niccolo Machiavelli was talking about. He didn't write The Prince so people could get more likes or become popular at dinner parties. He wrote it because real power, the kind that changes things, doesn't care if your Instagram followers clap or frown. It's brutal in its clarity. The day you stop chasing approval is the day you stop being ordinary. Here's the thing, most people never even get to this crossroads because they spend their lives tiptoeing around decisions that would force it. Avoiding it is safe, staying average is comfy, but for those rare audacious souls who actually confront it, everything changes. Machiavelli's insight was simple but devastating. If you want people to follow you, you must know how to command. Command requires that someone somewhere will hate your decision. That's just math. The leader who constantly asks, will this upset anyone, is not leading. They're a hostage to everyone else's comfort zone. And let me tell you, being a hostage is exhausting. Now here's a twist. Choosing power over approval doesn't turn you into a villain or make you a heartless tyrant who cackles in the corner while the world burns. It doesn't. It transforms you into someone who sees people's emotional reactions for what they are, information, not instructions. Disappointment, it's data. Resentment, also data. And suddenly you're playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, worried about what everyone thinks of your move instead of the board itself. Let's get personal. Think of a moment where you tried to make everyone happy. Maybe a project at work, a friend group debate, even family holidays. Remember the mess? That moment where your compromise somehow satisfied nobody and now everyone's grumbling? That's exactly the point Machiavelli was making 500 years ago. People-pleasing is the illusion of power. It looks like influence, but it's smoke, mirrors, and exhaustion. Once you choose power over people, everything changes psychologically. Before, their anger, disappointment, or judgment felt like an attack on your soul. After, you see it as a ripple in the pond, a signal to adjust strategically, not a personal insult. You're no longer a puppet to their emotions. You become the fox and the lion simultaneously. The fox, cunning, strategic, anticipating reactions before they happen. That lion, courageous, unafraid to act even if you know someone's going to hate it. Here's where it gets spicy. Speed. People pleasers move like molasses in January. Everyone wants to weigh in. Consensus must be built. Feelings must be considered. Meanwhile, you, the new Machiavellian you, already acted. You tested, iterated, learned, while they're still asking, do you think everyone will like this? You're already holding results in your hand. And results, my friend, are worth more than 1,000 smiles. But there's more than speed. Prioritizing power gives you clarity. The clarity of focus. When you're not diluting your efforts trying to appease everyone, you can pour your time, energy, and attention into what actually matters. Resources go to results, not opinion management. Machiavelli's fox and lion combo applies. Cunning to see which goals matter. Courage to chase them regardless of who complains. And here's the kicker, respect. People respect results more than popularity. The leader who does the hard thing earns the nod, the subtle nod, the silent acknowledgement. Not everyone will cheer. In fact, some might hiss quietly, but their respect sticks because it's built on competence and outcomes, not temporary feelings. Popularity is like whipped cream. It collapses the moment a decision displeases someone. Respect is like dark chocolate, bitter at first, but profoundly satisfying. Avoiding this choice has costs. Not just missed opportunities, not just slower progress. You remain psychologically dependent on others' approval. You second guess. You procrastinate. You shrink. Your life and leadership are held hostage to the whims of people who often have their own conflicting interests. They will never perfectly align with your objectives, so relying on their approval is like trying to row a boat in a hurricane with spaghetti paddles. And then the transformation hits, the moment where the scales tip. The choice is no longer a moral dilemma, but a strategic challenge. How do you achieve what must be done while managing human consequences as effectively as possible? The fear of upsetting someone fades because you know the long-term gain outweighs the short-term discomfort. The parent, the leader, the entrepreneur, all of them feel this simultaneously. It's lonely, yes, because you're taking on responsibility most people dodge. But here's the punchline. It works. Time proves it works. People eventually see the outcomes. They might grumble, but the results speak for themselves. This is the Machiavellian paradox. Prioritize approval, and you often fail those same people more than if you prioritize the objective. Avoiding tough choices to protect feelings produces inferior results. Kids who never learn discipline, teams that never perform, organizations that never innovate, all victims of people-pleasing. Conversely, the brave few who take responsibility for outcomes, even when unpopular, actually serve people better. Once you embrace this, you can't go back. You've crossed a psychological Rubicon. Your relationship with approval changes forever. You stop asking permission to act. You start accepting responsibility for meaningful results. You realize the world doesn't bend to your preferences. It operates according to its own rules. And power, true power, is mastering those rules, not begging them to like you. You haven't become cruel. You've become strategic, realistic, and willing to pay temporary social costs for long-term gain. And here's the final twist. Ordinary people will never understand this. They'll cling to comfort and consensus. They'll wonder why you're so harsh or so unkind. Meanwhile, you'll be changing things that matter because you chose power over approval. And that, my friend, is the moment you stop being ordinary. You start being capable of extraordinary achievement, not because you changed who you are, but because you finally accepted what leadership, influence, and responsibility really require. You've stepped off the cliff, socks and all, and discovered that the view is better than anyone warned you. Anyone? It started on a Tuesday, but it felt like a Thursday because time has a way of sneaking up on you when you're staring at decisions you don't want to make. Picture this. You're sitting on a couch that's one step away from becoming a permanent dent in your life, sipping coffee that's tepid at best, and staring at an email or a text or a Zoom chat that demands something impossible. Here's the catch. You can either keep everyone comfortable and liked, smile through the chaos, nod at every suggestion, and in doing so accomplish absolutely nothing meaningful, or you can step into a type of power that makes your stomach knot, a power that will inevitably disappoint people whose comfort you've been trained to protect. And yes, they will hate you for it, but it's necessary. Let's get real for a second. This isn't hypothetical. It happens to the ambitious, the curious, the ones who want more than a nice life or a friendly nod. It happens when the world hands you a decision with two labels, comfort and effectiveness, and both can't fit in your hands at once. And you're the one holding the scissors. Machiavelli, yeah, the guy everyone calls a schemer because they didn't actually read him, understood this better than anyone. He didn't write The Prince so people could host better dinner parties or score likes on social media. He wrote it to show how power actually works, not how we wish it worked. The day you choose power over approval is the day you stop being ordinary, okay? The day you stop being ordinary. Here's a mental exercise. Imagine being a kid again. You know the bedtime story, right? Parents enforce rules you hate. You stomp your feet, scream about unfairness. At that moment, you're furious. They seem cruel, but guess what? They're protecting your long-term web traffic. The same principle applies to leadership, entrepreneurship, and life itself. Sometimes the unpopular decision is the only decision that keeps the house standing. Most people never see this crossroad. They spend their entire lives tiptoeing, apologizing, hedging, delaying, avoiding. They avoid it because avoiding it is safe. Staying liked is cozy, but avoiding it is also the quiet death of ambition. Because here's the truth. The leader who always prioritizes approval ends up powerless. Now let's zoom into the human brain of the person at this crossroads, you, hopefully. Your first reaction is panic, anxiety. If I do this, someone's going to hate me. But then, almost imperceptibly, a shift occurs. You start seeing disapproval not as an assault, but as a signal. Their discomfort becomes data, their frustration an alert, their resentment a ripple to be navigated, not a leash around your neck. This is where the fox and the lion come in. Machiavelli's metaphor isn't some old school abstract. The fox is cunning, strategic, able to anticipate reactions, outcomes, hidden traps. The lion, courage, strength, willingness to act even knowing the storm of hate is coming. Most people get one without the other. People pleasers, they're foxes with no teeth. Lions, they roar without seeing the traps. They're the powerful leader. They're both. Let's talk about speed. People pleasers move like molasses. Everyone weighs in. Consensus must be perfect. Every emotion considered. Meanwhile, you, the new, upgraded you, already acted, you implemented, you iterated, you learned from the first failure while others are still asking, will this hurt anyone's feelings? Results aren't just a reward, they're a weapon against indecision, and you wield them better than anyone stuck in the approval trap. But it's not just speed. Prioritizing power gives you clarity, the clarity of focus. When you're not diffusing energy, trying to satisfy everyone, you can pour it into what actually matters. Resources go to objectives, not to tempers or sensitivities. The fox identifies priorities, the lion pursues them. Fiercely, unapologetically, even if someone cries foul. And respect? Oh, respect is the game changer. Popularity is ephemeral. Likes fade. Praise is fleeting. Respect? Respect is earned when someone sees your courage in action, your competence in effect. People remember the leader who makes the tough call, the one who moves mountains while others shuffle rocks, the one who executes instead of deliberates endlessly. Avoiding this choice has hidden costs. It's not just missed opportunities, it's psychological dependency. The perpetual need for approval becomes a prison. You second guess everything, you shrink. Your potential is held hostage by people who often have conflicting interests. Trying to get everyone to approve of your moves is like trying to row a boat in a hurricane with spaghetti paddles. It doesn't work. It never works. Here's where the story twists. The moment of transformation isn't the decision itself, it's how you see it. Before, moral dilemma. How can I do what's necessary without hurting those I care about? After, strategic challenge. How can I achieve the necessary outcome while managing human consequences as effectively as possible? Fear becomes fuel, anxiety a map, and loneliness temporary. Because people will grumble, sure, but outcomes speak. And they tend to scream your name once the dust settles. This is the Machiavellian paradox. Prioritize approval and you fail those same people more than if you'd prioritize results. Avoiding conflict doesn't eliminate conflict, it amplifies it. Kids grow up undisciplined, teams stagnate, organizations rot, entrepreneurs obsessing over customer satisfaction for every hypothetical wants, end up launching products that are obsolete before hitting the market. Meanwhile, you, the decisive one, already launched, fell fast, iterated, succeeded. You've moved while others just talk. Once you embrace power over approval, there's no going back. You see the world for what it is, messy, conflicted, indifferent to your feelings. Leadership isn't about bending the world to like you. It's about bending yourself to handle reality effectively. You haven't become cruel. You've become strategic, realistic, willing to pay temporary costs for long-term gain. And here's the delicious irony. Ordinary people will mock you. They'll call you harsh, unkind, or heartless. But while they're busy worrying about perception, you're busy changing things that matter. That's the true reward. That's the cliff you jumped off, socks and all, and realized the view was better than anyone warned. Finally, consider this. Extraordinary achievement doesn't require becoming a new person. It requires accepting responsibility, responsibility for outcomes, for consequences, for results that may upset some but ultimately benefit all. This is the moment the fox and lion combo becomes you. The moment you stop asking permission and start taking responsibility. The day you choose power over approval, the world shifts. You shift. Decisions become clear, priorities sharpen, outcomes outweigh feelings, temporary discomfort is accepted because it's the cost of progress. And Machiavelli, if he saw you, would nod. Not because you're liked, but because you get things done. And in this world, that is the rarest, most powerful, and most enviable skill of all. You've crossed the Rubicon. You're no longer ordinary. You're capable of extraordinary achievement, not by magic, not by charm, not by luck, but by the conscious decision to prioritize reality over preference, effectiveness over comfort, and results over popularity. And let me tell you, nothing tastes sweeter than that.